Welcome back to the second episode of Just Scrap Radio on bjpen.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Just like episode one, which I really hope you guys enjoyed, we have a stack show on episode two. First up, we talked to sixth ranked UFC featherweight Kelvin Kader to help preview his UFC Fight Island main event fight against Dan Ige. That should be an incredible fight. If Kader wins that, he could be right in the mix for title shot, like one win away, number one contender bout, and a lot of fun options for him if he wins. He also talked about how he wants to go 3-0 in 2020 with the third fight being him as the main event and his teammate Rob Font as the co-main event, hopefully in Boston if fans are allowed back in later this year. Next up, we're joined by Dan Ige, who takes on Kader in that main event on July 15th. Ige, just coming off that win over Edson Barboza, talked about whether or not a rematch was discussed and where win over Kader would put him. This is obviously probably his biggest opponent to date, and win over Kader gets him right in there for a title shot. And then finally, we're joined by Jack Hermanson to preview his July 18th co-main event bet against Kelvin Gastelum. He says this fight is pretty much a must-win if you want to get in title contention. We talked about Jared Cannonier and how he's the dark horse in the middleweight division, and where he sees a win over Gastelum, putting himself in that 185-pound division, which has become super stacked. Hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for tuning in. We're joined by the sixth-ranked UFC featherweight Kelvin Kader. Kelvin, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Before we get into your fight, you obviously fought Jeremy Stephens. He was overweight. Was there any talk of not taking that fight, or is it just you were taking that fight no matter what?
Yeah, I was taking that fight no matter what, but he could have handled it better, definitely. I think he leveraged the fact that he knew we wanted to fight. That's what he said. He even posted about it after, just didn't like it, man. Coming off some losses, might put you in a little bit of a desperate situation. And, he kind of tried doing everything he could to affect the fight outside of stepping in the octagon with me and earning it, just coming in 5 pounds overweight. And then I just didn't like being the first one on the scale and that type shit. It's not really coming from wrestling, man. You don't really respect that shit, from a young age. But whatever, man. We're on Dan Ige, and he's got my full attention now.
Yeah, and after that fight, a lot of people are talking you could be in a number one contender fight. When they called you with Ige, he's obviously one of those up-and-comers. Are you disappointed with that name just because he is behind you, or is this a fight you like?
No, man, I'm not disappointed with any of these guys. Like, I'm happy with the opportunity. I just want main events, big moment opportunities. And you got to fight tough people to get them. And there's tough guys, ranked above me. There's tough guys ranked below me. We're in the UFC, man. We're in the top 15s. Fighting the best guys in the world. I don't care what order I fight these guys in. I just want to stay busy and eventually step aside from all of them in the octagon and prove why I'm the better fighter.
And you get the call to headline a Fight Island show. What was that like for you? Because Fight Island, it's been all the rage for everyone. They're interested to see what it's like.
Yeah, I thought I was going to fight on Fight Island in May when they didn't know the venues. I was thinking we were going to fight on like a hangar or a ship, cruise ship, some crazy shit they were all saying. I was excited for, another epic memory, story, just adding to the fight, man. We're just making memories here. And I thought that would have been during the thick of things in the pandemic, but here we are now. I feel like it's only right to be fighting at Fight Island. I envisioned it thinking it was going to happen for so long with all the talks. And here we are now. I have another big moment opportunity ahead of me, and I'm excited.
And were you one of those people thinking it's going to be this tropical island location, like Octagon on the beach, or did you think like it's probably going to be like Abu Dhabi or somewhere like that?
Yeah, I really just didn't. I mean, I think like everybody, we didn't know what to expect. That's why we're all coming up with these lofty ass ideas. It sounds cool, sounds even better, I something I'm excited about now that it's coming out is I want to get my fight gear bag, and I see some cool sandals, some cool shirts, and just some cool swag that I'll have post fight. So I'm excited to get my bag full of gear, which will probably be like a bathing suit, or a tank top, and some sandals, some chancletas, and then it's back home where I can't use any of it in wonderful New England. You can tell I'm getting a base tan out here with all these clouds.
And you obviously headlined the show against the beat in Russia, but that was kind of short notice. Was only 3 rounds. You're truly like the main event. You're promoted as the main event. Like, how much different and better is it now compared to that beat one?
Yeah, at least there's pros and cons to everything. You can focus on the negatives of the pros. I choose to try to only focus on the positives, things that we could take away from it. With the Zabit fight, it was it was a longer camp, at least in preparation for Boston, and then we shuffled it back a couple more weeks so we had more time. This one was like, hey, a little bit less than a month. You want it? And my track record speaks for itself. We jump at these opportunities, and we'll be ready. We were training for Jeremy for 5 months, so this one's no different. It's a lifestyle, man. You got to be ready for these opportunities. They don't always come, and if you're not ready, they'll pass you by real quick, and to another young, hungry, up and coming fighter.
And after you beat Stevens, were you expecting to turn around this quickly? Because obviously, with everything going on, they're turning to the American fighters to fight often. Like, is this the time frame you wanted, or was this earlier than you even expected?
It was definitely earlier than I expected, but I wanted to go 3-0 this year. Man, I want to be busy, and the pandemic definitely threw a curveball towards us and set us back a bit. But we adjusted. We got the May 9th, and quick turnaround puts us right back on pace for what will be hopefully maybe 3 fights in the calendar year. I like to get back on a fight card with my teammate Rob Font. As he's starting to get healthy towards the later end of the year. And last year they were in Boston in October. Maybe we make a strong push for Boston towards the tail end of the year with me and Rob Font headlining the card. It'd be great.
And with this fight, it's obviously 5 rounds. A lot of people thought if the Zabit fight was 5 rounds, you would have won that just because he started to fade and you were getting strong. Like, do you think 5 rounds benefits you a lot because you have the cardio to go 5 hard rounds?
Yeah. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how those championship rounds. I hear he's saying something about Battle of the Wills, and I'm all for it, man. I'm ready to take everybody's soul in there, and that's better than a knockout and a submission sometimes, man. Just running a guy, through the ground, 5 hard rounds, wars. You see the iconic fights. I feel like there are a lot of times that 5-round war, and I'm ready for anything, man. I'm not just talking about it. I'm ready to chase down my dreams, man, by any means necessary against whoever they put me in there with.
And everyone knows.
Put in there with me.
And everyone knows how good your boxing is. People talk about you as one of the best boxers in the UFC. Do you think this is a fight where Dan's not going to want to stamp you and he's going to try to wrestle you?
I'll be ready for whatever Dan shows me for openings. This is mixed martial arts. Of course, I have a strong emphasis in boxing, but I'm a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and Dan might be the one to expose, the rest of my game, but he's gonna have to earn it. Whatever he presents, I'll be ready for, and I'm excited about going against an up-and-coming fighter, like you're saying, 6-0. He's on a 6-fight win streak, and I'm excited to go out there and just put it to a stop, get my hand raised, and tackle who's next.
And your guy, all your past 4 wins in the UFC have all been by knockout. Like, how do you see this one playing out? Like, do you think this all your past wins are by knockout? Like, do you think this is a fight where you can get another knockout win?
Let's go. Listen, man, knockouts, you can't force it. Just present themselves, so you capitalize. I look for them a lot, as you could tell. And if an opportunity presents itself come July 15th, you better believe I'm going to take it. We don't get paid per minute in there. 5 rounds, it's a lot of fight time. And I think we fight at 8 a.m. and we leave sometime around like 6 p.m. So a quick one would be nice, man. Then go jump off to that golf course that's close by. Maybe see a little bit of the island within a 2-mile radius that we're quarantined to before we head back. It'd be a nice experience. But like I said, man, I love. We got the knockouts, man. I would love to get a feather in my cap with a submission victory. He's a black belt, so that it would be those things. Man, it's gonna make for a good fight. I'll take whatever the fuck he presents, and I'll capitalize.
And with this fight too, like, Dan obviously has a lot of hype behind him. He's a guy that works with Habib, Justin Gaethje a lot through that Ali connection.
Yeah.
He's on a big winning streak. Like, what do you think a win over him does for you? Because he lost UFC debut, but since then he's won every fight, beat Barboza, beat Bektic, like a lot of these top guys.
Yeah, win over Dan Ige just keeps me on the track that I'm on, and that's just gunning for the top against these guys that are kind of dilly-dallying at the top. And I get it. When you're in the top 5, you got to kind of pick not so much pick the right fights, but you got to take the fights that make sense, that get you the belt. But at the same time, it's these guys also sometimes are sitting on the sidelines waiting for these fights that they're inactive most year, and then they're coming back in there. Me, I choose to stay busy, be ready, and just take whatever opportunities are in front of me. And right now, I got a tough opponent in Dan Ige, and I'm going to go out and show why I'm the best fighter in the world.
And I spoke to Volkanovski earlier, and he mentioned your fight, because I was saying, who do you think's next if you beat Holloway? And he said it's really going to be whoever looks the most impressive out of you and Ige, Zombie, Zabit, or Yair Zabit, Zombie, Ortega, if all those happen. Like, do you think an impressive win over Dan gets you right in that? Like, you could be a number one contender, or you could be fighting for the title by the end of this year?
That'd be dope. I like it. We'll stick with what the champ says. That sounds good to me.
And with Dan, he's obviously has, like we mentioned, has a lot of the hype, but he has some of that wrestling background. Your wrestling, you haven't shown that much in the UFC. You've been a guy that likes to keep it standing. Like, do you think that's still kind of that hidden secret for you, is your wrestling and your ground game?
Yeah, a little bit. And, I have shown it, but more so in defensively, stuff in the takedowns kind of most of my career. Not just because I choose to stand up with these guys, but, I like to keep it for what the fans like to see and be an exciting fighter. And I love the scrap. I love a good scrap. So that tends to be my style. But Dan Ige is a tough competitor, man. He likes to pressure forward and land his shots. But I've shown that I can handle the pressure well, and a lot of times it doesn't work out well for the guy pressuring me.
And then the way these fight on cards, like you mentioned, they're obviously keeping it to the Eastern time zone. So your fight's gonna be like 10 p.m. here. That's like 7, 8 a.m. there. Like, do you know how you're going to do that? Like, are you just going to stay on Eastern time the entire time you're there? Or are you going to try to adapt and just get ready to go right early in the morning?
No, yeah, definitely. I'm sticking a schedule. And from there, man, it's like you can sometimes overthink this shit. It's like even down to the weight thing, someone disrespects me or a family member, and it's like, it comes a safety concern, defending myself. I'm not going to give a shit about the guy's weight. I'm not going to give a shit about how much sleep I got that night. Fighters are fighters, man. Some of these guys these guys are I feel like there's a lot of athletes in this sport, and I feel like I blend the two pretty well. I'm a fighter, and I show it when I get in there. There's nothing I want more than to dismantle the opponent in front of me and move on to the next one. And I'm just excited to be putting all on the line for the best organization in the world, and really just chase down these win sides. I fight these guys like they owe me that show money, man, and it shows.
And with Abu Dhabi, it's obviously going to be hot. Like, how do you think that heat's going to play a factor in the fight? Just with the cardio, just with everything? Because at UFC 242 last time there, a lot of the fighters were saying how tired they were getting early and how hot it was.
Yeah, they were all talking about the heat and things. I heard it's going to be an AC kind of tent. It's crazy, man. All those little things, they add up. They're the details, and it's important to focus on them. But to be thinking too far ahead for that, I let my manager and all them focus on the details. For me, it's just I put all my energy and focus into each session every day. I learned that kind of mindset from Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Just they're always on the next week. They learn from the past, they move on, but you got to stay in the present, man. You can't live in the past, can't live in the future. And I'm in the moment right now, focused on the next lunch, the next training session, recovering tonight for tomorrow's workout. If you do enough good things every day repeatedly, eventually a great thing will happen. And hopefully July 15th, I'll have my opportunity to go out and get that hand raised and make that great.
With this Ige fight, like, I think this could be one of the best fights on these Fight Island cards. Like, this is one of the fights I'm most looking forward to. Like, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, they keep got me flying under the radar over here. As much as they give me the headline opportunity, it's like I swear these performances are flying under the radar. So, I want to go out again, get a big stoppage again, and just try to remind these guys that I'm here to stay. And I have another opportunity to do that. All you can ask for is an opportunity. We earned that, and I'm going to turn some heads come July 15th.
You're fighting on a Wednesday. Normally, it's always Saturday. Is that much of a difference, or are you just going to make Wednesday your new Saturday now?
Man, I've been fighting every day of my life. So whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, I don't give a shit. Wednesday, Saturdays, any day of the week, man, these guys can get it. I'm ready. Fight Island or not. Come find me out here in Haverhill, Mass. We'll do it any day of the week.
And with the win over Dan, like, do you have anyone in mind of who you'd want to fight next? Because featherweight, it's such a stacked division. There'd be so many intriguing matchups for you.
I want whoever they say is the next best guy in line. That's going to get me to that belt. Plain and simple. Whoever it is. I stopped picking fights when I got in the UFC. Trying to get to the big show. Now that we're here, let's have some fun. Who do they want me to mix it up with? And let's get to work, man.
And your sweater, obviously, Combat Zone. You work with them. The regional scene. When do you think they're coming back?
That'd be nice, man. I was hoping to focus a little bit more with it. I was in talks with the commission, and then this fight came up. I got it, short notice, so kind of giving all my attention to this right now. Post-fight, I look to get going ASAP, man. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to be on my Dana White shit. Not taking no's for an answer and getting this local scene busy because I want them to have the opportunity that I have in front of me, and I know they're all hungry right now. I could see it in the gyms. These local guys, they want to go out and compete and earn that next level shot.
And just last thing with you obviously trained a lot of good guys like Rob Font. Like, how big have they been? Because New England Cartel, that thing's taken over.
Yeah, man, you already know. Shout out to my number one teammate, Rob Font, man. Kid's just he's on another level. In this last year that he's had off, not really off because the kid's been busy. He's been working, but doing what he can, studying, and his mental game's through the roof, man. The kid's a genius, and couldn't have a better teammate than him. And I'm excited to go out and hopefully, I could see us one day, man, carrying the 35, 45-pound straps. And we're working every day real hard to make that a reality.
Well, actually, just last thing quick is you said you want 3 fights. If everything goes your way, how quickly do you want to turn this thing around? Like, when's that third fight going to happen?
I want that third fight to happen when Rob Font is ready. He gives me the green light on that third fight because I want to headline a card with Rob Font. It'd be nice if we could do it here in Boston. And I'm going to go out and July 15th and let them know why we need to make that happen.
All right, well, Kelvin, thank you so much for doing this. Go Bills next season.
Chill. Damn, you should have started with that. I would have fucking hung up right off the get.
All right, thanks, Kelvin.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. Later, brother.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Dan Ige, who headlines a Fight Island card against Calvin Kader. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
We talked after your Barboza fight, and you told me I made you matchmake the featherweight division, and you said yourself versus Jeremy Stevens or Calvin Kader if he can't get a fight. You're now fighting Calvin Kader, but are you a bit surprised that it is him just because he's a lot higher ranked than you?
Yeah, yes and no. I said it before, like I'm in a position, like he's actually in a position where he's kind of tied up, and if he wants to wait it out, he absolutely can. He's earned it. He's deserved it, but he's an active fighter, and I respect that about him. So he's once again taking another risk, and that's what the sport is all about, is taking risks. And I'm fortunate to be able to face a great opponent like Calvin, but I'm gonna go in there and just do what I always do in a fight. So,
and when you got the call to fight Calvin and be the main event, what were the emotions like? Because this is gonna be your first UFC main event.
Yeah, originally I had, I got right back into training after the Barboza fight. My body was feeling pretty good and healthy, so I kind of started training. But in my mind, my mindset was just keep getting better, and come back fighting in August or sometime. Just take time to get better. But that Monday I got a call, said, "Hey, do you want to fight Calvin Kader main event in 4 weeks?" And that's a huge opportunity. So I was really excited and obviously jumped on it right away, no hesitation. My coaches were excited, my family was excited. So this is it's just the stars are aligning, and this is my time. So you can't leave an opportunity like that on the table.
This will already be your third fight of the year. Some people don't even get 3 fights in a year. Like, were you surprised of how quickly you've been able to turn this around this year?
Yeah, I mean, you got Conor McGregor talking about a season. Like, this is an example of a season. Like, he's fought one time, and who knows if he'll even fight again. This is my third fight already this year. February, May, now July. And I love it. Originally I never really planned to do that, maybe fight 3 times a year, but I'm young, I'm active, I'm healthy. Why not take advantage and just keep the ball rolling?
And when we talked last, I was trying to get Fight Island out of you. I didn't know if it was real. When you found out Fight Island was real, like, were you one of those people thinking it was going to be in the Caribbean on a beach, or did you think Dubai was kind of where it was going to be?
I mean, I heard different rumors. I was hearing Fiji. That would have been really nice. Then I started hearing the Abu Dhabi, and I was like, it is what it is. But not my place, to fight on an island. But hey, we'll take it. Main event.
Did you get a chance to go back to Hawaii after your Barboza fight, or did you just stay right back in the gym and train for this one?
Yeah, no, I didn't go back home. I stayed home. Tuesday or that Monday, I bought a mountain bike and was out on the trails riding with my buddies, just kind of staying in shape, doing little stuff outside of the gym for about a week, no contact, and then right back in the very next week, trying to back to normal. Our Extreme Couture started running pro practices again from after the pandemic, so it's been nice to actually get back in the room, and everyone's motivated and pushing each other. So it's been a good time in the room right now.
And a rare Wednesday night card you're going to be headlining. Like, how different will that make fight week? Just because you've been so used to fighting on a Saturday.
It really doesn't make we prepare the exact same way. My Tuesday of fight week is gonna become my Sunday of fight week. Like it's same thing, different day. You just gotta approach it correctly, and I'm doing the right thing. So.
And the way they're doing these cards is you're going to be fighting like 7, 8 a.m. in Abu Dhabi just because they're keeping it local time for here. Like, how do you know how you're going to structure? Like, are you just going to try to stay on like that Eastern Pacific time zone, or are you going to try to adjust and just get ready to go in the morning?
Yeah. Well, so I was talking to the guys at the USCPI, and they have like a nice little sleep protocol, nutrition, and timing of everything. And to be honest, it's like the same time the card, even though it is early over there, that's going to be weird. But the time I'll actually be competing is about the time I actually train over here in the United States. So I'm not going to change up too much. I'm just going to adapt. I think that's something I'm really good at, is adapting. So once we get there, we'll adapt, adjust, and showtime.
And you're a guy, you like to push the pace. Your cardio is after 3 rounds, you don't even look tired. Like, do you think a 5-round fight is really going to benefit you just because you can really go hard for 5 rounds?
Yeah. I've always told myself I'm a 5-round fighter. I tend to get better as the rounds go on. I get more loose. I get more relaxed. My cardio, I get that second win. That first round, like sometimes I'll come back a little tired, but it's just like it's finally just settling in and getting comfortable. So I'm excited to test myself in a 5-rounder. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Even as an amateur, I had a good amateur record, but I didn't have like the most finishes because it's hard to get finishes in like a 3-minute round, 3-minute rounds. So transitioning from an amateur to a pro, having that extra 2 minutes in a round gives you more time to work. And now converting from 3 rounds to 5 rounds just gives me even more time to work. So I'm really looking forward to that and testing myself physically and mentally.
And Kelvin Kader, he's obviously someone who a lot of people are high on. He's only 2 lost the UFC, Hanada by Kader and Zabit. A lot of people thought if that was a 5-round fight, he's going to beat Zabit. Where do you think a win over Kelvin puts you in this division? Because you obviously have the featherweight title fight just a couple days before your fight.
Yeah, a win over Calvin puts me right in the mix with the top contenders. You're going to have, obviously, Max and Volkanovski fight for the title. And then you got Ortega and Zombie, who knows when they're going to fight, and Zabit and Yair are going to fight sometime. So, and Kader's right there. So if I beat them, I'm right up there. And it's interesting. We got to see how everything kind of plays out, but it really puts me 1-2 shots away from a title shot. So.
And you're someone that, because of your connection with Ali, you train with a lot of people. Like, you train with Habib, with Gaethje. Are you strictly doing this camp at Extreme Couture, or are you going to go to other gyms and train with, like, Gaethje out in Denver?
Yeah, no, because of the time being, we're 3 weeks away. I'm staying at home, keeping everything in routine here, just on the daily grind, getting better, getting stronger. So, yeah, I'll be here at Extreme until we have to fly out.
Who's going to be going out to Dubai with you?
I my coach Eric Nixick, my brother-in-law Skylar Close. My wife's gonna come out, help with my meals and stuff, and we have a couple other coaches since Joe will be fighting out there a couple days after me. So we train at the same gym. So, like Eddie Baracco and those guys will be out there as well. So
this fight against Kelvin, to me, it's one of the most exciting fights I'm looking forward to all these Fight Island fights, just because your style mesh so well that it could go to the ground, it could stay stand up. Like, this could be one of the best fights this year. Like, how do you see this one playing out?
I see it the exact same way. He's a great opponent, but the clash of styles is going to be awesome. I have every single tool. I could, we could have a great stand-up war. We could take it to the ground, fight on the ground, clinch fighting. Like, everything about this fight is exciting. I'm really excited to go out there and just put on a great show like I always do and push a pace. It'll be hard to top that Emmett and Burgos fight. That was a crazy fight. But we're definitely going to look to go out there and one-up that one. So we'll see what happens.
And to me, the featherweight division, it's probably the most stacked in the UFC. Some people might say bantamweight. It's between those two. Like, how important is a win here? Because there's so many guys right near that a title, that a loss, it puts you back quite a bit, but a win gets you right in that title mix.
It really is important. I mean, every fight's so important. Just winning alone, that's my main goal. My main focus is win. And it's so important because it determines everything. It determines who's gonna get a number one contender fight, who's gonna get a title shot, and everyone has equal opportunity in this sport. It's about the ones who take risks, the ones who take opportunities, take on high tests, big tests, big name opponents. And I think I'm doing everything. I'm doing everything right. I'm taking every risk. I've taken every fight I've been offered. I've been training hard. I've been getting better. I'm doing everything as a professional. And I believe I'm on the correct path. I'm on the path to become a champion.
And you've been a guy that a lot of people overlook. A lot of people thought, Barboza is going to be too much for you. A lot of people are picking Bektik. You're a pretty big underdog here against Kader. Like, does that motivate you, or do you even really care what the odds have to say?
Yeah, I'm the underdog in every fight. So, and I don't know, it's just my style. I'm not the prettiest fighter. I'm not the flashiest, not the most technical, but I'm gritty, I'm tough, and I'll push a pace. And I'll break guys. I take their souls, I get in their head, and some people just can't handle the pace. So that's something I'm proud about, and I'll always implement that game plan on all of my opponents. So.
How much does that Barboza fight give you confidence heading in this one? Because you took some of Barboza's toughest shots where those put people out, and you just kept on walking forward against him.
Considering the amount of time I prepared for that fight, like, I probably trained on the mats a total of 8 days for that fight. So it gave me a lot of confidence. I've never had that short of a notice going into a UFC fight. So, confidence is a huge part of fighting. And it's like, you have to almost lie to yourself saying, you're good, you got this, you're strong. Like, I didn't have body as I was sparring with amateurs, but we had to make it work, and we had to believe and just go out there and do what I did. So it gave me a lot of confidence for sure, but I'm never overconfident. I always give my opponents respect, but at the same time, like, I don't care. I'm going to try to hurt whoever's in front of me, and it really doesn't matter.
And I spoke to Volkanovski before his fight, and he was basically saying he's keeping an eye on all these fights, like Burgos, Emmett, your fight, just because he doesn't know if, like, Yair's beat's going to happen, or when a number one contender fight. Like, do you think if you have an impressive performance and you can finish Kelvin Kattar and be the first guy to finish him, that you can honestly skyrocket right into a title shot?
Yeah, it's possible. Everything's possible. You've seen it happen before many times. I can't think of a clear example, but just the guys who, like Gilbert Burns, has just been taking opportunity after opportunity, short notice fights. It's earned him a title shot. I mean, yes, he beat the number one contender. He's definitely earned it. But I'm the same way, and sometimes it does come down to performance. The Zabit or Yair, I mean, that's probably impossible to be boring. That's going to be a crazy fight. But you know what I mean? Like, if you just – some people could win and have a shitty performance and not get rewarded, if you get what I'm saying.
And so say Holloway wins and eventually he stays champion, you're there. Is that something you'd like to have a Hawaii versus Hawaii fight, or is that something like it wouldn't be necessarily something you want just because there's not many Hawaiians in the UFC?
No, I mean, we don't want to kill off the Hawaiians. Like, I respect Max a lot. We used to train together. He's my friend. But I'm not going to go out and call him out. But at the same time, if he's a champion and I'm the number one contender, my goal is to be a champion. And, we like Kamaru and Gilbert, they're good friends. They train together, but, only one person could be a champion. So, if it ever came down to it, I think that's a great opportunity to make UFC Hawaii, make the real fight island. So, but we'll see what happens.
And the UFC announced that they're obviously going back to the 30-foot octagon for the fight island. Is that something you like, or because your fight against Barboza was in that 30 feet, you haven't been able to fight in that 25 feet and in your last couple of fights?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't really care. I mean, that small octagon is nice. It creates exciting fights. But the 30-foot octagon, I'm used to that. I think it's, no problem at all. Just have more space, more room to work. For someone like Kader, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna go out there in the middle anyways, and put on a show for the fans.
Is it surreal to see how far you've come this year? Like, you were a guy, you weren't in the rankings to start the year, and now you're already fighting third time of the year in July, and with a win here, you could easily be a top 5 featherweight. To get that up the division that quickly, like, it's surreal to look back and think on.
Yeah, I mean, no, at the same time, because I've written everything down that I've done today. I've written all my goals down. I visualized my goals and I've achieved them because I put it in my head. I planted the seed and I've worked hard every single day. You got the naysayers out there, you got the critics out there, you got the fans saying whatever, this and that, but it really doesn't matter because they don't see the day in, day out sacrifices that I make. So everything that I've gotten today, I've earned it rightfully. And when I get a win over Kelvin, yes, I will be a top 5 fighter, and I will deserve it. People can say whatever they want, but I've done everything in the sport to deserve it, and I've been active. I'm on a 6-fight winning streak. I'm about to make a 7, and you can't deny that.
And your only loss in the UFC was your UFC debut. Like, how much better do you think you are now to compare to that UFC debut, which is only a couple of years ago?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've gotten so much better from that night in the locker room. I was working on technique in the locker room that night. I was already working on getting better, and you saw how I adjusted. That was my first when I fought Julio, first southpaw I ever fought in my life. I've trained with many southpaws, but it was a different. I pressured. I was playing a pressure game against a counter fighter, and it just didn't go my way, and I didn't adapt in time. But I've gotten so much better from then. I fought like 3 more southpaws after that, and beat all those guys. So I'd say I've got a whole lot better for sure.
Your wrestling and ground game, I think, is something that's really underrated part of your game. Like, how important do you think that's going to be in this fight? Where Kelvin, obviously, he's a really good boxer. He's probably going to want to keep this fight standing.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to try to keep it standing, but that's where I have the tools. I keep it standing if I want to keep it standing. I'll take him down if I want to take him down. I have to fight this fight on my terms. If I fight on his terms and his pace, of course he's gonna have that's exactly what he wants. But I'm gonna go out there and fight on my terms and my pace and do what I want to do in that fight. And that's all I really focus about. Because if I start worrying about his boxing or his footwork or whatever, like same as Barboza, if I'm worried about his kicks and this and that, like then he'll implement it. And so I have to go out there and focus on myself and do what I do best, and that's pressure guys, break guys. And I'm a heavy hitter, but I do have, great wrestling and ground and pound and submissions that, I haven't even got to show my full arsenal. So I'm excited.
And you're a guy that you've trained with Habib, you've trained with Gaethje. Like, how important has training with those guys been? Just because we know how elite level their wrestling is.
Yeah, I train with the absolute best guys in the world. I felt the number one the number one guys, the champions, the interim champions. I've trained with everyone. I flew out Aaron Pico right now. He's been my training partner this week, and he's a super competitive, tough kid that goes a top 5 in the world already. So he's been a good push for me. Really helps me just bring the physicality up, and mental and everything. Just so that's something I'm proud about. Just training with good guys, because when I get into that ring or octagon, there's no doubt that can I do this, because I know I can. I've been in there with the best, and I know I can bring the best out of myself. So.
You just mentioned there that you brought in Pico. He's obviously another guy with Ali. How important is that, having Ali in your corner? Just because he manages the best fighters in the world, where if you need a striker, you could fly one out. If you need a wrestler, you have Habib, you have Pico. Like, how important has he been with just helping you with training partners?
For sure, just the brotherhood and the family, and just the Dominance MMA family. Like, everyone's so close and connected. Even the guys that have fought each other, like, everyone's very civil, and it's just a nice family. A good backing to have, for sure, a good backbone of support, and just being able to surround yourself with guys like Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Khabib, Justin Gaethje, Henry Cejudo, Pico, all these guys, like, just to kind of pick their brains and see how they prepare, and how their mindset is going into fights. And it's given me a huge definitely benefit, and built my confidence as well.
And just a couple more things is, obviously, after we talked after your Barboza win, you said you were open to that Barboza rematch because he thought he won. Was that ever considered by the UFC, or was it kind of Kelvin Kattar from the beginning?
Well, I didn't even think Kelvin Gastelum would be it. I was open to the Barboza rematch because I was just getting tired of the fans crying, and they're still to this day tweeting like, it's stupid, like, get over it, check the facts. I won. That's it. But yeah, I was totally open to it because, given the circumstances I had to train for that fight and do what I did was, great. And to really approach that fight with more time and proper game planning, and it would be a whole different level. But it doesn't matter. I still won. On to bigger things.
And last thing, where do you see yourself at the end of this year? You've already had 3 fights by July. Like, where do you see yourself in this featherweight division by the end of this year?
By the end of the year, I don't know, but by 2021, I'll have that belt around my waist. So I've said it many times. I've wrote it down years ago. In 2000, I'll tweet it one day. I'll tweet it when I get the belt. But I have it in my notes on my iPhone. 2018, I wrote, I will be the champion, the UFC featherweight champion in 2021. And I recently tweeted that. Volkanovski even responded. He wrote, nope. But I told him much respect, but I'm coming for you, as I should be. And he said, respect to that. He said, I'll be waiting. So, I'm on my way, and I'm working hard, and I'm going to get it.
All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Fight Island. Tune in July 15th.
All right. We're joined by 6th ranked UFC middleweight Jack Hermanson, who co-headlines the July 18th card against Kelvin Gastelum. Jack, how are you doing?
Great, man. Good shape, and we're just a couple of weeks from the fight now. So, it's interesting times. Looking forward to what's coming up.
So you were obviously supposed to fight former champion Chris Weidman in May. Like, what were the emotions like when you found out that fight wasn't happening? Because Weidman obviously is a big name in this sport.
Yeah, definitely. But man, I have to say that when I lost the fight and I knew that I wasn't gonna fight on that card, that was a little bit sad because I really wanted to fight. But when I got to hear about Fight Island, and when I got the fight with Gastelum, I feel it turns out to something better, actually, because I feel like Gastelum is the opponent that I really wanna fight. So I'm happy with the switch of opponent.
Yeah, because you and Gastelum kept on calling each other out on Twitter. Like, when you got the call, was it just an immediate yes to accept the fight?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We actually pushed for the fight, to the UFC. We're just like, yeah, man, I really want this Gastelum fight. So can we make it happen? And fortunately, they accepted it, and he did too. So it's perfect.
And what is good about this one is for you is it's obviously 3 rounds. Your past 2 fights were scheduled 5 rounds. How much better do you think you'll be now back in a 3 round fight where you've gone 5 rounds? Now you can push a hard pace over 3.
I feel like a 5 round fight is always in my advantage because I have good conditioning. But at the same time, it's nice to go 3 rounds. 5 rounds is hell. It's basically just like I feel like I have the same pace in a 5 rounder as I have in a 3 rounder. So it's just like two more rounds of hell basically. So hopefully I can make this win happen in 3 rounds, and I'm gonna be happy with that because those 5 rounders they're tough, man.
And when you found out it's gonna be on Fight Island, like obviously Fight Island, a lot of people are thinking, oh, Caribbean, it's obviously Abu Dhabi, but it's gotten a lot of hype. Like I have a lot of friends who aren't MMA fans, and they've been asking me like, oh, one of the Fight Island fights. Like, do you think there's gonna be more viewers just because of this whole Fight Island thing?
Yeah, it will for sure. And as you mentioned, the fans that are not, super deep into the sports, they have no idea that the UFC had fights there before, and it's not a new thing basically. But they will be doing some new stuff. They will be having a octagon. I think it's going to be outside on the beach, and that's going to be cool. So it's probably going to be a new new view for the fans. So I think there will be tuning in some extra fans, and of course, especially for the first Fight Island card, that's the week before mine. That's probably really where people will tune in and see what this is all about, and hopefully they like it, and the hype is gonna stay when I'm getting out there.
And what intrigued you so much about wanting this Gastelum fight?
Gastelum is right now ranked just close to me in the rankings, and since all the guys above me are either booked or not available, then I feel like the guy right behind me, Gastelum, is the perfect fight to make. He has basically fought almost everybody here as well. So I feel like it's a good fight that makes sense for both of us, and I think it's going to be exciting for the fans as well.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because it could obviously go so many different ways. You obviously have really good stand up. Your ground game, everyone knows how good your ground is. So how do you see this one playing out?
It's going to be interesting. I will try to mix it up. I'm going to try to do everything I can. Stand up, clinch game, wrestling, ground game, and we're going to see if Kelvin wants to do stuff, because his strength basically is boxing. I think that's his main asset and his most dangerous weapons. So I think I have a little bit more tools than he has, but the tools that he has, he's incredibly dangerous with. It's going to be interesting to see who can force their fight of the guy.
So let's just go back. Is how important is this win for you?
It's super important. In this sport, back-to-back losses are never good. So I really, really want to get back on a win streak. And if I do so, it's going to put me in the right direction to call somebody in the top 5 out, and I'll be back towards title contention.
And obviously on this Fight Island card, you have that Whitaker-Till matchup. It seems likely Paulo Costa is going to fight Adesanya, and whoever wins the Till Whitaker is probably next line after that. If you beat Gastelum, like how many wins away do you think you are from touchdown? Like, do you think you're only 1-2 fights away?
Yeah, I think there will be some fights that needs to happen, and those guys can't ignore Cannonier being there in the mix as well. So somebody's gonna have to take on him, and after a few fights has been done, then we will see who we needs to fight to get up there. The best thing would be, to maybe to fight the loser for the next title fight, or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's gonna be interesting to see who it will be. But it definitely has to be somebody in the top 5. And after that one, I might be there, man. Especially if it's if I have a great performance and a good finish, that might be enough to put me in contention. So this fight, one more, and hopefully we'll be there.
And with Gastelum, we've seen him be submitted before by Weidman. We've seen Jacare have success against him on the ground. Like, do you think that's your best path to victory, is taking him to the ground and doing your jiu-jitsu on him?
Yeah, it would be great if I could do that. But at the same time, I learned something in the last fight, and that's, I can't just lock into that, because it's going to be too easy for the opponent to read, and, they're going to time me when I try to shoot in. So I think it's really, really important that I don't just go in there and try to do that. I need to use all of my tools, and hopefully I can find a good opening to take him down, and I will use that for sure.
And like we mentioned, your cardio is really impressive. Like, even against Jacare, you took that fight on short notice and you went 5 hard rounds. We've seen Gastelum, he has good cardio. Like, he went 5 rounds to Adesanya. Like, do you think this is a fight where it's going to be whoever dictates the pace more is going to have the success?
Hard to tell, because I think I have more output than Gastelum, and I can't see him making me tired, by chasing me or wrestling me or anything like that. But I can see me making him tired. So I think it's a little bit up to me there, how high the pace will be in this fight, and I will push it for sure.
You guys have both fought Jacare. Have you watched that Gastelum Jacare fight? And if so, what did you take away from it?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, it's always hard to make those crossover thinking. It's super hard. It's the same thing when you talk about, that guy won over that guy, but he didn't won over that guy. When you see in the rankings, everybody beat each other. It's so much about styles. So I think I have a very different style than Jacare has, and I think it's more about what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna use my tools and my style in this fight. So I watch the fights, but I don't take too much from it. It's more about watching a little bit what Gastelum has in the different situations, and and where he's the most dangerous. I think that's the thing that I take from watching the fights.
In the middleweight division, it is getting pretty stacked. You have Adesanya, Costa, Till, yourself, Gazan, but someone a lot of people always forget to mention is Cannonier, who just beat you. Do you think he's kind of that dark horse in this middleweight division where everyone consistently overlooks him?
Yeah, definitely. He's right up there. I could see he beat anyone in this division. Looking forward to see his next fight. I hope he will get something booked, but I know that he injured himself, if I don't remember.
Yeah.
I hope he's getting well and that he gets a fight booked, because me myself is looking forward to see how he does against those guys. So.
Is that a fight down the line you'd like to get back?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to revenge all my losses if I could, but maybe if I fight my way to the title and he will be a contender, or maybe he will even be the title holder and I will be the contender, that would be a good scenario.
And with that Weidman fight, like, is that something that was just kind of the circumstance, or are you still interested in that fight, even if you beat Gastelum? Or do you think you're kind of just too far ahead of him if you beat Gastelum?
No, if I beat Gastelum, that would not be the fight to do. If I lose, that would be a good fight to make. But now I feel like I got almost past Weidman, for a in lack of better words, better opponent. yeah, a win over Gastelum will put me towards the top and not further down the rankings. So I feel like maybe I'll fight Weidman one day. I'm not sure, but it's not going to be the next fight if I win this one.
And you're a guy, you fight often. Like, you're no stranger to taking short notice fights. Like, this is obviously just your first fight of 2020, but barring everything goes well, like, how quickly would you want to turn this thing around? Like, how many more fights are you looking for in this year?
At this situation where I'm now, when I'm up there in the rankings, it's hard to fight as often as you can do when you are low ranked, because then you can take almost everyone, right? But right now, I don't want to be a free fight for some up and comer. So if I win this fight, I would like to do a quick turnaround and have a back-to-back fight if they will be against the right opponent. So preferably somebody ranked above me. Then I will do it right away. I don't need any time in between. So hopefully I can do one more this year at least, and hopefully it will be against the top 5 opponents.
And with middleweight, there's a lot of fun matchup for you. Like, obviously not speaking like as your next fight, but do you have people in mind of who you just want to fight before your career is over in this division? Because you versus Adesanya would be fun. Like, you versus Till or Whitaker would be a good fight. Like, are there any guys that you really just want to fight?
Yeah, I would like to fight Darren Till, and Adesanya is also a guy that I really want to fight. I feel like I match up well with them. I think they're entertaining guys, funny guys. They say funny stuff, and they're well spoken, both of them. And it would be cool to be around those guys, in a fight. So you have guys like Cannonier and Whitaker. They're a little bit more, like myself, soft spoken and so on. So it would be cool to have a guy like Till or Adesanya on the other end.
And you're someone, you represent Norway and Sweden when you fight. You're only seeing consistently more fighters from Norway and Sweden get into the UFC. Like, what's that like for you? Because you probably know so many more other fighters that probably deserve to be in the UFC. Like, it seems like more and more fighters from Europe are finally getting that call now. Like, what's it like for you? Is you were one of the first guys from Norway to get this call?
Yeah, we have a lot of good up and comers, and it's gonna be interesting to see if we get some more into the UFC in the future. And I'm sure we will. And it's a great scene, both in Norway and Sweden, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of future stars from here.
Would that be a goal? Is obviously you headlined in Denmark, which it's close to your countries, but is that a goal for you, to headline like a Sweden or Norway card in the UFC one day?
Yeah, definitely. Norway, professional MMA is not allowed in Norway, so we can't have the UFC here yet. But in the future, if we could, that would be amazing. And I've been fighting in Sweden on a UFC card, but not as the headline. So to headline a Sweden card would also be one of those things that's on my list for sure.
And you're obviously, this card is in Abu Dhabi. Everyone talks about the heat, but what else they're doing is they're keeping the times to North American time. So you're gonna be fighting at really in the morning, like 4 or 5 a.m. Like, have you figured out how you're gonna do that? Because for a lot of people, fighting or just even training at that time is really early for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, and the good thing about it is probably not as hot at that time as it's daytime, so that's a good thing. But otherwise, I think I just need to start to adapt at home, here, and just basically set my clock a little bit earlier every day until I wake up in the middle of the night, basically. So I think that's going to be my strategy to prepare a little bit time-wise already here before I leave.
And just last thing, like we mentioned, is his fight island. Like, is there, like, how, just because this is all this COVID stuff, like, how difficult has it been for you to train for this fight?
It has been a little bit tricky because the gym has been closed and so on, and I've been training with fewer people and just a small group of people, and in different conditions. So, but I think we managed well, and I feel almost as well prepared as any other fight. I feel like I developed parts of my game, and I think there hopefully will come something good out of this.
All right, well, Jack, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.